Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here, we successfully created one of the controller, we successfully created one of the migrations table, and also we have created one of the model, right? So here in our sidebar, I name one of the route as a marks entry add. So that is our marks entry add, that is our new prefix, and into the marks controller, I have created one of the method as a marks add. So now that will be our marks add. Okay, so into this mark add, as I told you friend, that will be just like our student. That means the student, and into the student there is a role generate, right? So that is the role generate page. So that will be just like that same. Here I want to load it, and also if I want to load our year, I want to load that class, also I want to load that as a all that exam. Okay, so I show you here. I also want to add one of the another trick. Like first of all, there is our marks add. Okay, so into this marks add, first of all I want to get all that our data, that means the data, and our array I name it as years. Okay, I name it as years, and then our student year. Maybe if you go, there is our model name, you can see that is our model. So with this student year, I want to get all the data. So I simply get all the data. So friend, I think you already understand what exactly the things it should be look like. Also I want to get all the data from our student class. So I copy it. Okay, I copy it and paste it. That will be our student class. So from to the student class, I want to get all the data, and I name it as a classes. Okay, I name it as a classes. And also I want to get another one. I want to get another one for the our exam type. Here I didn't load it, better I copy it. Okay, I copy and paste it. So I also want to take our another model. If you go to our model, into the model, that is our exam type. Okay, so that exam type will be also I want to load. I copy it, so that I want to support this one, so that will be as an exam type. Okay, so now from with this exam type, see that is every our database, all the table, right? So I want to get all the data from a student year table, I want to get all the data from our student class table, and same as our exam type table, and I name that exam type as a exam. Okay, exam underscore type. Okay, so this type of one of the name I simply add, and I take everything into the data array, and now I want to return it. That means the return one of the view page. So for the return view into the backend, I want to create one of the folder as a marks. Okay, marks. So this type of one of the folder I want to create, and into the folder area I want to create one of the file as a marks add. Okay, marks underscore add. So this type of one of the add page I want to create, and then I have to pass that our data, right? I hope it's very much clear to you. So now let's create this folder first into the backend folder. If you now go to our view, that means that is our view into the backend. So that is everything. So now into the backend, I want to create one of the folder as a marks. Into the marks folder, I want to create one of the file as a marks add. That means here I create on the new file. Now click as a save as, and I name it as a marks add dot blade.php. Okay, so that will be our marks add blade.php. Perfect. So friend, as I told you, this page will be just like our student. If you go to that student, into the student, that is a role generate. Into the role generate, here you can see I have also created one of the page as a role generate view. So now I copy everything from here. I copy everything from to this position in our marks add. Here I paste it. Okay, and there have also one of the scripts. So we will do that same logic. So that is actually our year, right? That is our student, and that is our student role generate. That is our page. So right now I copy everything from to this position. Okay, I copy everything from to this position. Now I want to customize it. Okay, I want to customize it. That is a student role generate. I make it as a student mark. Okay, marks entry. So that will be our name as a student marks entry, our years. So years will be just like that same. Here I want to load that years, and from to this position I pass that as a years. You can see I pass that as years. Right now we can able to access it in our marks add page. That means right now there is a variable with the for each. I want to load all that our years, that is years, and then year ID. Okay, then our year name should be visible, and the name is year ID, ID name is year ID, so it will be just like that. Same, there is another one as a class, so class will be also same. I name that as a same, and same name as a class ID, ID name as a class ID, and from here I pass that as a classes. Okay, and here also we don't need to change anything. I'm using that classes as class. So now with this class I get that our class table ID and then class table name, right? Perfect. So everything will be just like same. First of all, I want to check it. If you now click as a save all, okay, I click as a save all. Now I refresh it. So now I have created another menu. You can see there is another menu as a marks management. It is the marks management. If you go to the marks entry, yeah, our marks is now selected, and yes, you can see there is a pretty much same. There is a year is now loaded, all that class is now loaded. So right now we don't need this button as a role generator. Okay, role generator here. There is a role generator. Right now we don't need this. Okay, I remove it. I remove it from to this position. So right now I want to customize it, because here also we have to load our another one. That is the years, that is the class. I take one of the row, and there is a call MD4, right? There is a 3 right now. There is a 12 actually. There is a 4, and there is a 4. So better I want to do right now and to make it as a 3. Okay, because here I have to add another one. I make it as a 3. Also want to update it that our that is our column, that means note, and that is our and row. Perfect. So right now there is actually one other one. Okay, better after that year, that is our classes. So I copy this one, and I add a new one. Okay, I add new one. Now if you click as a save all, now that should be as a 3. That means the 4 will be in one line. Yes, you can see there is our 3. That means our call MD3, and then the call MD3. Perfect. And then there is should be another one. So friend, here I want to update one things. Like if you select as any class, so this class related all that subject will be loaded. Okay, and we have also done this work. If you go to our student management, here that is our role generated monthly. If you go to that month, the setup management. Into the setup management, here you can see I have already complete our assigned subject. That means if you go there into the class 1, you can see for the class 1, if you click as the edit, yes, for the class 1 I have assigned some of the subject. I have assigned some of the subject for the class 1 as health, English, Hindi, mathematics, and arts, right? And also for the class 2 I have did the same things. Like there is our class 2. For the class 2 I have also assigned some of the subject. You can see there is all the subject for the class 2, right? So I want to use one of the JavaScript, and here I want to do this type of work. When you select as a class 1, automatically class 1 related all that subject will be loaded. Okay, and if you click as a class 2, then the class 2 related all that that is all that subject which I have already assigned, so all that subject will be loaded. Perfect. So if you want to do that work, here I want to use it with the JavaScript. Like there is a class I want to change that name. I name it as a subject. Okay, I name it as a subject, and that will be as a select subject. Okay, I name it as a select subject, and I also want to update that name. I update that name. I name it in our database table. That is how you have created as a student marks as a assign subject ID. You can see there is a year ID. I actually prefer to use the same name. So year ID, the class ID, and there is our assigned subject ID. So right now I want to use it. That will be as assigned subject ID, and also I put that name as a assigned subject ID. Okay, and here you can see I also put that same as per our database table name. So that is our class ID, and that is our year ID. Perfect. So that is our class ID, that is a year ID, and then assigned subject ID. So now I want to add this as a assigned subject ID. So for the assigned subject ID, there is our value will be selected as a disable. It's okay. So right now here we don't need to for each anything, because I want to load one of the JavaScript on here. Okay, So I want to load it. So right now we don't need any value, and also I don't want to make it as a disable. Okay, so right now it's okay with me. So right now that is totally empty. Here that is our ID. So with this ID we have to actually assign this class. That means when you select this class ID, then all this class related every subject will be loaded. Okay, loaded on here. So we can do that work with using one of the JavaScript. Here I have also loaded, you can see that is I have already loaded that jQuery because I copy everything from our this scroll into generate view. So here I have also discussed about that things with you. If you want to use any JavaScript, make that sure you use that jQuery. Okay, so right now that is our another script. So after this script I want to use another one. I have already write this code for you, because rather than it will be actually take a lot of the time into this script before I have already used it, right? And that is our another one. I put another comments for you, and you can see that is actually the load class by subject. Okay, so that is the JavaScript I want to use. Better I copy it. I copy this script, and I will share this file after end of this course, so don't worry about it. And also I will share everything into the GitHub, so you will get everything from here. So that is a JavaScript code I copied from to this position, and then in our marks add page after this script. Okay, after this script I want to load another script, so I simply paste it. So right now I want to explain it what exactly the things I did on here. So first of all, there is one of the JavaScript, and there is a function, there is our documents on change when it should be changed. Change what? On change our class ID. As I told you friend, when you select this class ID, so for this class ID I have also assigned one of the ID. If you go, I think you already know about it because we did the same work a lot of the time. So that is our ID, right? I have also assigned this ID, and also for this subject area I have assigned that ID as a assigned subject ID. So on change, that means here it will be activated. Here it will be activated, and then that is our class, and then that is our route. So with this mark and the get subject, so from to this route I want to get all that subject, and I pass this subject data with the JSON format. Okay, and with the JSON format there is our data, there is our class ID, and that means this class ID in particular that area I added the success function data. If we get that all that data, then it will be added one of the option value, and option value will be as a select subject. Okay, that means this option and this option, all that value will be loaded in our assigned subject ID area. That means I have already added that another one. So that is actually our assigned subject area, right? So into this ID area, that means after that option it should be loaded. Okay, so it should be actually get this data from our this script. So I simply get this data, and that is a subject value, and there is a value will be our subject. Here we have to also get this data name, and the name will be as an option. Okay, so now first of all I want to create this method, that means the marks get subject method. Okay, so if you want to create it, go to our web route, and to the web route that is our prefix. Okay, so better I want to create this one outside of this prefix, because that is very common. So I want to actually copy it and I paste it. So that will be one of the route as a marks get subject. I copy it, so that will be as a marks and then get subject. So I name it as a marks get subject, this type of one of the URL, and then but I want to create another default one. Okay, that means the default controller. Okay, rather than you can also use another controller. Right now it's okay with me. I name one of the default one of the controller. So into this default controller I want to create one of the method as a get subject. Okay, I name it as a get and then subject. So this type of one of the method I want to create. Okay, so if you want to create it, first of all we have to create this controller. I want to do that will be actually default controller. So into the backend, okay, into the backend directly here I want to create this controller that is will be as a default controller. I copy it. So now into the controller, into the backend folder, I want to create this controller as a default controller. Now click as enter. Our controller is created successfully, right? Now if you want to support it, like here, that is our employee, into the employee, that is we don't need this, so that is into the backend. You can see I have created one of the new controller as a default controller. So first of all, we have to support it into the web route. So now go to our web route, and here I want to support a new one, and I paste it, so that is directly in our backend folder. So right now we don't need this folder, right? So into the backend, I have created one of the controller as a default controller. I copy it, so that will be our default controller. Perfect. So now we are able to use this controller. Now I want to use it. So that is actually outside of our this prefix, that means our marks prefix, and then into the default controller I want to create one of this method. I copy it. Now go to our default controller, and here I name it as a public, and then function, and then our method name. Okay, so here we have to pass this data by the JSON format. We have to get all the data from our subject. If you go to our database, here I have also created one of the subject. You can see that is actually our school subject, right? If you now open it, so that is all that our subject, but I have assigned it, maybe for the assign I have also created another table. If you go, that is actually the student year, that is the assigned. You can see that is the actually assigned subject. So for the assigned subject, yes, you can see that is actually class ID. So with this class ID, I want to get our all that subject. You can see that is actually our subject ID. So from to this subject ID means that is our subject. That is one of the foreign key of our subject table. That means the school subject table, right? So I think it's very much clear to you right now. Here if you go into this area, that is the student class and student subject, that means school subject. So that is all that ID, right? So that is here I have assigned all that class ID. So I want to do, when you select as a class ID, automatically this class ID related all that sub ID, it should be get, and I have to create another relationship, and from here I want to get this name. So that is the simple procedure we have to follow. Okay friend, so better I want to continue this process. In our next video I will complete this method. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.